Good day, everyone. Welcome to Virtual Concert Hall's live show. I'm Anna Spinskaya, and we're broadcasting to you from Washington, D.C. area. Today is a very special day. We'll be broadcasting the Hunter Mill Music Studio live concert, and it's a hybrid production, if you know what I mean. Students are performing live in person with the audience present, and we are broadcasting on all those platforms. Virtual Concert Hall started a year and a half ago, and now we are connecting musicians and audience, this time from around the globe. And as I said, this is a very, very special day for our studio because with the pandemic, when it started, we couldn't perform live in person, so we moved into performing live virtually. That was 18 months ago. And it took a lot of community effort on the part of the students and parents and teachers of the studio, and a lot of others who helped develop those systems and this kind of production. It was a really important community effort where everybody put their hands together to work on something to provide the students with an opportunity to continue to perform through those difficult times. Let's have a little bit of a flashback memory of how it started. We all really believed that anything is possible when people put their hearts, their hands together to make it happen. And now I would like to introduce the Hunter Mill Music Studio pioneer in studio live broadcasting of students' recitals. We created this virtual stage, and today it is a hybrid stage because we do have live audience, and we will have a judge judging the and giving comments also live in the same space in person, and we are broadcasting to the entire rest of the world. Without any further ado, I will start introducing students one by one. They'll come on stage and perform their concertos. The first pianist to take the stage is Wesley Zhao. Welcome. going to do my part of Bravo, 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 Bradley. And Frane, thank you guys for setting up the tone for such a intense joy. We are really feeling a great joy because for the first time in 18 months, we are performing in person with people in the studio applauding and supporting and including the virtual audience. This is a very special day for me and for everyone in our studio. We're going to be moving on to our next performer, and Mia Burgoyne will be performing Haydn Concerto in D major and excerpt. I'll be inviting Mia on stage in a second.
you will be a little bit more excited than usual. And for that, I would suggest that you practice with the recorder. It always helps when you think that you shouldn't make any mistakes. And a recorder helps a great deal because it organizes you and makes you feel a little bit stressed. Number one. And number two, what usually happens when we perform some technical music, we start running faster. So what I would suggest you do, again, practice at home first. say something, make up some funny rhyme. Something like, I would like a sweet potato. I would like a sweet potato. I would like some sweet. But the funnier, the better. It will occupy your mind just a little bit, and you will have to pronounce your notes a little bit better, you know? So think about it. Otherwise, it was very bright, it was very emotional. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mia, very much. Thank you, Ala, for joining us. And um, this is an interesting new experiment for us because we're broadcasting from the actual physical location where we have audience and we have Ala Lowry joining us as a judge. And I'm going to give out a little secret. You can see Ala from a completely different room. Looks like it's a different space, but she actually is in the same space with the students performing. Let's guess how all of that plays out in the space. Our next performer is Wesley Zhao, and he'll be performing Grieg Concerto No. 1, and that'll be the first movement.
Bravo, Wesley. Thank you for this concerto. It's an immense work that you've done. Really, really, I know, I can imagine. What I can tell you, compositions like that need to mature. Even when we think that we know them well enough, it takes a long time, maybe years. I am sure that you would return to this composition. And along with that time, you need to practice two things. All of us do, by the way. It's not about students. All the musicians do that. You need to learn how to really enjoy working with the tiniest details of music. You just zoom it in, go slowly, and just enjoy every single element of it. And on the other hand, you need to see bigger picture, a bigger picture where you can connect smaller, shorter phrases into something united. Because large forms like this, they sometimes kind of start falling apart. We take care of the phrases, we take care of smaller structures, and we don't see the big picture yet. Plus, when you do all that, you will develop this strong sense of freedom, and it will not matter for you whether you play for yourself or for a bunch of friends or for a larger audience or for live streaming like today. You see? So good luck to you. I wish you all the success. I think you're on the right track. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wesley, for this fabulous performance of a really big concerto piece. And thank you, Alla, very much for all the comments and for supporting the students and for helping us grow through your wonderful expertise and your very caring and supportive commenting and coming to our studio again and again and helping everyone, helping me. I'm learning from your comments too a lot. Let me say a few words about our studio. 100 Million Music Studio is located in Washington, D.C. area in Vienna, in suburb of Washington, D.C. And we have been in business for a long time. I'm not going to say how long because that'll reveal my age. And we are a very supportive, very tightly knit community of teachers. There's several of us working here. We teach piano, violin, and cello, and especially we're enjoying a tremendous support and trust and help from the parents of the students. And it takes a village to grow a musician, and not necessarily a professional musician, but someone who is able to enjoy the music and create music as well. So our students are working very hard with the great work and support of their parents and grandparents and the whole community groups. Um, they grow, they learn, and they all develop their talents. Maybe not necessarily with the purpose of becoming professional musicians. Some of them do, but the most important thing is they're learning how to express themselves through the medium of nonverbal expression, musical expression, which can be challenging to learn how to do it, but once learned, can really communicate very deep insights into the personal emotional feelings and emotional life. And that's the purpose of our teaching and the mission of us as educators, to allow young musicians and young people really explore the wide range of feelings and explore how those feelings can be expressed through complicated music pieces or not very complicated music pieces, the way to communicate. And I believe our next student is ready to perform. We'll be welcoming on stage Iliana Rong, who will be performing Mozart Concerto number 19 in F major. And this will be the first movement. She's accompanied, and all of the students today are accompanied by 100 Mill Music Studio alumni and alumnus. And that's Frane Rusinovic, who is a professional pianist now, got his degrees in Germany and Europe, and he's back here visiting his family and helping us with those concertos. He's performing today 15, 16, 17 concerto accompaniments, and I'm very proud of him because he's my former student. Thank you very much. And now, Iliana.
It was very nice, very solid, a lot of passion. I can tell. Uh, you know, when I listen to the music of classicism, it's a different time period. It's not as romantic, it's not as passionate. It's a little bit more reserved, a little bit more fragile, transparent maybe. And as for me, I wanted a little bit more of piano, something in between. Number one. Number two, we always care about those tiny details, gruppetto, trills, endings, something like da 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 boom, da da, you know what I mean? And we always want to stretch them a little bit. It doesn't mean that we do, in fact, but the whole thought about like listening to every single note within this tiny ornament makes it sound a little bit more pronounced and more melodic, you know? And that's that probably. So a little bit more dynamic range, I mean, between the forte and not forte. And a little bit more of detailed work. And you can practice it your whole life, in fact. It's never too late or too much, or, you know, we always study something and we always pursue getting better and better and better, especially when it concerns that music, you know, old music. Thank you very much. All the best.
That was Iliana Rong with the Mozart Concerto number 19 in F major, accompanied by Frane Rusinovich. And the comments you heard were from the judge and our great supporter of our studio, Ala Lowry. We are moving on to the next performer of today, welcoming on stage Kaiden Griggs, who will be performing Mendelssohn Piano Concerto number 1 in G minor first movement. Looking forward to it. Welcome on stage.
things, probably main things. Number one, when a person who is not a very huge person, and he is supposed to grow up eventually into this huge person, tries to play louder than he can afford, you know, you have not very big hands and you sound it really well, but it's very important not to overdo, because in this case our forte either gets a little bit too aggressive sometimes, and in romantic music it should be rich and nice, right? And number two, our left hand always has advantage because it plays in the lower register, which is always louder, sounding louder for our ears. Plus, the left hand, in romantic music especially, has a lot of chords and octaves, while the right hand gives just one line of passages or melodies. So the left easily overcomes, powers the right hand. So you always take care of the balance. And if you feel like you don't sound loud enough, it's not true. Our modern pianos give you enough of power, enough of richness of the tone, and you will be all right. Just make it a little bit easier on yourself, number one. Number two, when you now practice this concerto, I'm sure that you will not finish it today. You will play it more, right? So take it nice and slow, because after every performance like that, which takes a lot from you, you need to kind of go back a little bit and enjoy everything in detail. Put everything in order. You will come down after this performance and you will get your cold mind, so to say. We always have this part of our mind is like cold observer. One part of us performs with all the feelings, all the nuances, dynamics, and the other guy, another part of our mind, looks at all that and says sometimes, oh, probably it's too much, I need to cut it down a little bit, or I should add a little bit in this part. So two parts of our psyche when we perform, it's very important, not to lose control. And one last thing, I understand that conducting yourself with your head is setting things right in the rhythm, and it gets you a little bit easier approach to your fast notes and passages, but also it breaks the long lines into those smaller parts, and we don't want that. Especially in romantic music where the phrases are long and the parts are expanded. We don't want to cut it shorter. We just want to embrace all of it. And that part of your mind which conducts, laka taka 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 taka, it's very good, but it should be inside of you. Don't allow it to come out and show everybody that you are doing this. Laka taka 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 taka. See what I mean? And thank you very much. I enjoyed it tremendously. Thank you.
That was Kaiden Griggs with Mendelssohn Piano Concerto Number 1, first movement, and Ala Lowry was giving comments to Kaiden. We're moving on to the next performer, and this will be solo piano performance by Sofia Snelbecker, who prepared Beethoven's Sonata Number 14 in C-sharp minor, Opus 27 Number 2, well known among everyone as Moonlight, and she'll be playing the first movement, Adagio sostenuto of that sonata. Welcome on stage, Sofia.
don't know, like for 5 years, something comparably new, it's a nice idea to just play for your own pleasure, not for anybody. It's like sitting in your own space and just enjoying yourself. And in this case, you shouldn't hurry. You shouldn't think about any difficulties, any sharps or flats or whatever difficulties come along. And it will give you a break, because it seemed to me that it was a little bit too fast just for this music. Imagine that it's a Moonlight Sonata, so it's deep night, you are all on your own, dreaming about something or just relaxing. It's no action, you know? So never hesitate to take a little bit slower tempo if you feel a little bit less than secure, okay? And just share the joy of music. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sofia, for bringing this wonderful piece, and thank you, Ala, for your great comments. That was Sofia Snelbecker, and she was performing Beethoven Moonlight Sonata First Movement. She has two sisters here in the studio, and they both will be performing. They're all fabulous musicians. And the next will be Katherine Snelbecker performing Shostakovich Dance. Welcome, Katherine.
Thank you. When we deal with grotesque music like this, probably we could think about a little bit more contrast. So it would be even more grotesque, especially when the piece is short. It's like a little souvenir, something, especially from Shostakovich. You played something from Shostakovich, no? So you know the author. All right, and one more thing that I could suggest. We should always know 2 or 3 spots we could start from if we forget something on the way, let's say at any time of the day or of the night. So that well you should know those spots. And it's very dangerous to start from the beginning. You didn't do it, but I'm just telling you just in case. That I saw cases when the kids would forget somewhere in the middle and they decided to start again, and then they would stop at the same spot and they would go to the beginning again, and you see the picture. So good job, continue please. Thank you.
Thank you.
think about what to suggest, maybe you should consider a little bit more of a lyrical character when you play that particular theme. Because when you do this more passionate part, it's alright. And concerti usually require a little bit of contrast, and it will give you a break regardless dynamics. You can kind of loosen up a little bit while playing those parts, and it will add a little bit of interest to the overall imagery. Okay? Thank you very much. Very nice.
That was Katherine, Emily, and Sofia Snelbecker, three wonderful girls from the same family, sisters, pianists. And we're moving on to another fabulous, remarkable family. I will have brother and sister performing one after another, and they'll be accompanied by their fabulous pianist dad. So, welcome on stage, Jack Nosman. Burgoyne Piano Concerto Opus 44. It'll be second movement, and he will be accompanied by Greg Nussman, his father.
Thank you very much, Jack. That was really, really nice. Really nice. It was very pleasant to listen to you. What I can suggest and give you a piece of advice. This particular concerto was written by one Ukrainian composer, and the second movement, which you have just played, and the third movement of this concerto are written on folk Ukrainian songs. And it's very helpful to know a little bit about those songs, because this particular one is about a young girl, and somebody asked her why she was very sad, and while calling her, this person from whose part is the song sung calls her like a clear sunrise, something very poetic. And the whole thing is about why this girl is so sad, you know. And when we think about it, it will not be like la di da 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 da. It will be sad, la di da 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 da. A little bit more simple, maybe a little bit more subtle even. So you can think about it when you practice this concerto, okay?
Okay.
Otherwise, it was terrific. Thank you very much.
This was a fabulous duo. Son and dad, Greg Nussman and Jack Nussman. Jack was the soloist, the young star, and dad was the accompanist. We're moving on to Jack's older sister, Abby Nussman, will be performing Haydn Concerto in D major, first movement, Vivace, and she again will be accompanied by their phenomenal dad pianist, Greg Nussman. Welcome on stage.
very happy. I love this concerto, and the way you performed it was also very happy and bright. What I could tell that the period of classicism ended just about 200 years ago. And before that, it continued for about 70 years. So it's a very old piece of music, right? And we definitely need to think about it. That time, that age, was called, if I'm not mistaken, if I interpret it right, elegant, courteous. So we cannot make very sudden, very powerful accents. It's a little more gentle, a little bit more subtle. Also, if you think about how people dressed at the time, how they lived, what furniture they had, with a lot of carvings, you know, those bent legs of every chair, every little table, a lot of tiny details, that would make some kind of idea in our mind how to treat those tiny, teeny ornaments in our music. You know, we need kind of have a lens glass and look at them so that we would see what's going on in there. It's not a you know, we don't slow down. We just like research what's going on within this tiny little thing. You know, it's like a precious brooch on our dress. If to look at it, maybe it's just a sparkle from long distance, but if you research what's there, it's a jeweler's masterpiece. So every single tiny detail in this particular music, I mean this time period, should be listened into and practiced a little bit more carefully, like a little tiny melody within a very quick, very light ornament. Do you understand what I mean?
Yes, I do.
Very nice. And that probably, one more, while I remember. When you feel like you want to raise your shoulders, check if you sit on the right height. Maybe you would want to raise your stool just a pinch, just maybe an inch or so.
Okay.
Okay? It will give you a little bit of relaxation in your shoulders. Thank you very much. That was very good. forward. That was very nice, very pleasant. Romantic music is very tough to perform, and you did a great job on this one. What I could suggest, first try the pedal when you deal with this particular instrument. Maybe it's a new instrument. How the pedal response works, you know, because sometimes it just bangs back. Or maybe if it's all right, then maybe you should try to find the right balance how to release it, because it was heard. Number one. Number two, when we deal with romantic music, especially romantic music, we always think big sentences, big part. It's like never ending something. Yes, we have smaller phrases and musical sentences within, but this flow of music, it just doesn't want to stop anywhere in between. Just and then a large part gives you a comma, and then again some new large part begins. So you shouldn't just make those bubbles within it. Think big, think just like long way to go always. Plus, when we have to do, this polyphonic thing in our hands, try maybe to disregard the middle parts, those harmonic parts, and just stay with two voices, the right hand and the left hand. Then add one without the other, again, the line in the bass without those responding intervals within. And try this the opposite way. The left plays everything, the right just the top melody. Then again, reassemble everything and see what happens, how it changes. Because very often it's a very typical challenge to play those middle harmonic inserts a little bit too loudly, and they actually disrupt the melody. This is probably what you should consider while working further on this concerto. But I really was impressed and very, very pleased. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
can give you a couple of advices how to make it better in the future. First, pianists are kind of lazy people in general. We always prefer smaller movements over larger movements. Same concerns the pedal. When we deal with the pedal, we usually don't raise our leg. We just put it on the heel and handle the pedal with our tip, of the shoe. So you need to feel where your pedal actually touches your foot, so that it would be nice and easy for you. You wouldn't spend any extra energy you don't need to spend, actually. And when you play whatever you play, try to sing the melodies and try to imitate your singing with your hand, so that it would be a nice horizontal phrase, not broken into pum 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 pum, not see what I mean? A little bit more legato, it never hurts. Otherwise, it was a very, very happy performance. Thank you very much, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations to Marcela and Leah, wonderful two sisters, playing the two concertos. Now we are going to be inviting on stage Kate Lee, and she will be performing a concertino but in A minor by Polunin. Welcome on stage, Kate.
I haven't seen you for quite a while. You grew up eventually. Thank you very much. It was a terrific performance, very musical, very expressive. Thank you. Um, I will give you a couple of advices. First, when you da 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 da, it was dialogue at the beginning, right? The theme. Just listen to your left. Sometimes it's a little bit bigger for the right than it's supposed to be because they are supposed to be equal, like a gentle partner talking to a wonderful lady, and he doesn't want to talk a lot louder than the lady. So they need this dialogue, okay? And one more little thing. Your hands are beautiful, but when you did this a lot, you know the part, right? So you might want to consider a little bit smaller movements because we need to know how to do that, how to handle that. Because I'm sure you will deal with more difficult pieces eventually in your future, and you will not have a lot of time, and you need to be able to bring it just on time without extra efforts. It's about timing and efforts. For this particular concerto, it was right, but think about it. Maybe even here in this concerto, you might want to find a little bit easier way to get from here to there and backwards.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it was terrific. Thank you very much. It was exciting.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Thank you.
What an exciting performance. Wonderful. And thank you very much, Kate Lee, and great accompanist, Frana Rusinovich, who is accompanying a lot of students today. Thank you for this wonderful duo. We'll be inviting on stage our next performer, and that'll be Lucia Tong. She will be performing a Haydn concerto in D major, first movement, Vivace. Enjoy it.
Yeah, it was very nice to listen to you. Very happy music, very happy concerto. And you did quite all right, quite well. What I can suggest when you deal with fast pieces of music, always think about you ride a horse and you want to control the reins. Because if you allow the horse to lead, the horse might run too fast. You always need to be in control. So when we are in a hurry to somewhere, if we allow ourselves to get in the sense, oh, I'm not making it, I am in a hurry, or the time is too late, I am late, it doesn't help. You need to keep your mind very cold and just say, whatever, I will do what I can do. I am not in a hurry, I will do fast. But I will not be in this sense of stress, terrible stress. It helps tremendously. It's just a practice. You need to set your mind this way and just take care of all those 16th notes. And what really helps with this type of technique is saying something along. I already said about I would like a hot potato or something, but you can do whatever you want. You can come up with your own words, funny little phrases. It doesn't have to be meaningful. Something like, give me all the candy, give me all the cookies. Something like, give me all the candy. The more you need to focus on this pronunciation in your head, the better your fast notes will sound. Believe me, it's checked many times, and it's proven to be very helpful. Don't allow the fingers to get excited or scared or stressed. Just pace it with some words and say it in your mind. You can even try to say it out loud. It sets things up the miraculous way. Just try, okay? And good luck to you. It was very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucia Tang. Thank you, Frania Rusinovich, for this wonderful performance of Haydn. And thank you, Alla, um, Laurie, for great comments. I'm going to remember that. Give me candy, all the candy. That's really helpful. We are moving on to the next performer, and I'm very pleased to introduce the youngest member of our studio, and that is going to be her debut, very first performance on stage at our studio. Welcome on stage, Elaine Eng.
when you're about to play something, the first thing you need to check is your stool, a little bit for your feet if your feet don't reach the pedals yet. And this is like, getting in the car after somebody who was very tall or very big, and this somebody adjusted the seat the way which is very inconvenient for you. We are not in danger sitting at the piano in an inconvenient way, unlike drivers, but it's very important to set things the best way for yourself. Did you feel comfortable today? Really? That far away from the keyboard, with your arms expanded like this? I don't think it was the best position for you. Maybe you felt all right, but I'm sure that it would be a little bit better if we changed the stool, shifted it a little bit closer to the keys. What do you think? Right? Yeah. So think about it, because I'm sorry nobody could figure it out before you came. I didn't know that you were a little bit short. I would have moved the stool for you. But think about yourself when you play for somebody. Check your seat. Okay? The pedals. Convenient. You sit. If it's not convenient enough, get up, shift it again, so that you would feel the most comfortable way. Okay? Promise? All right, thank you.
Yay! Big applause to Elaine for her very first performance. She managed sitting really, really far from the piano, but yes, we need to learn how to feel really relaxed with time. People can wait. Yeah, people can wait until we are completely comfortably settled at the piano. And we'll do that, Elaine. Okay? All right, we're moving on to our next performer. Let's welcome on stage Ella Levi. Okay, while our performer is getting ready, we're waiting for a couple of minutes for Ella. Ella Levi will be performing Berkovich Concerto, Opus 44, and that'll be a third movement. She's one of the youngest members of our studio. Majority of the time she was in the studio, she's spent studying online because she just started, and then when pandemic happened, we went into virtual study. She did fantastic job, and so did all the youngest members of our studio. We thought it was going to be very challenging for, especially for young students, to learn the technique, the tone production, and many other things with the remote education on piano. We've never done it before. So this was a big experiment and a long one. I'm very, very proud of the students and their dedication and their imagination. A lot of things like sound production, especially in the colors, was left, a lot of it was left to their imagination and their ability to hear different sounds in their head and uh, produce them from their own feeling for it, because I couldn't show them in person. But um, we did, I think, all right. And so Ella is among the younger members of the studio, and she's preparing to play the Berkovich Concerto Opus 44. She'll be doing the third movement of it. And with that, we'll just wait a couple of minutes, and she'll be here.
It's a very humorous music if you think about it. And do you know what it is about?
No.
No. I'm not sure about the middle, I just don't remember. But the side parts, the beginning and the ending, it's a Ukrainian folk song, which sounds like, oh, the rings on my barrels broke. Something really funny. You can hear it in the music. That is funny, it's happy. So, da da dee da 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 da. think about the character of the music and not of the difficulties. When we want to tell a story in our music, sometimes it's a lot easier to perform, when we focus on how we move our fingers and what is tougher in this part or in that part. We kind of get involved with the technical aspect, and it's always supposed to be like a secondary thought in our mind. We tell stories in our music, and the technical difficulty, they are just like coming along somehow. So think about it, something very easy, and it will get easier for you, and the tempo should go straight. Okay? Thank you very much. It was very, very nice. Thank you. practiced a lot, and there is always something you can suggest to a student while dealing with this piece or that piece. So when you feel like your passages might be a little bit smoother and more even, always try to say something. I already told that a number of students today. So how about we say something like, I adore my pink pajamas. I adore my pink pajamas. I adore my... You know, the more you say something funny, the less you think about difficulties, and somehow your fingers get along and your passages get a lot smoother and more even. It's number one. And number two, this classical piece by Mozart was created in a completely different time period. So people weren't as abrupt and explosive at those times, and it was called like a gentle age or sometimes courteous age. The music should never be rude, and when we do very harsh accents in the middle of something, it's considered a little bit rude, don't you think? So make it a little bit less harsh, okay? A little bit more elegant. It will still be an accent here and there, but it will be more appropriate for this type of music, which is very sweet. You can probably agree with me, right? And this is the way to go, Harry. I congratulate you with this large piece of work, and you accomplished a great deal. I am very impressed with you today. Thank you very much.
And that was Harry Chen performing Mozart Piano Concerto number 5. And he did the first and second movements of that concerto. We're looking forward to learning his third movement and putting a complete concerto under his little belt. Next, we will have Joel Chen, Harry's older brother, who will be performing a Mendelssohn Piano Concerto number 2 in D minor, first movement, Allegro appassionato. So, welcome Joel Chen on stage.
it's a huge concerto, and you did a lot. And remember, once or twice we spoke about it with you in the past. Fast doesn't equal good. Sometimes it's a lot easier and better to just slow down and take a little bit safer tempo in order to just free yourself from extra trouble about just thinking about it, just whatever. Take it nice and slow, not slow, but not as fast, because you see what happens when you're under stress of performance itself, plus you have a hardcore technical piece, and it doesn't add to your freedom while playing, to your fun, to your enjoyment, and you are supposed to have all that as well. So try to practice a little bit slower now when you do it at home yourself. And maybe you should try parts of your concerto with a metronome, because it gives us the necessary discipline of the tempo, not just the rhythm within the groups of notes, but within larger parts of our music. And it will give you a hint where you tend to accelerate. You know? Sometimes it feels like we are perfectly fine within the same tempo, but when you turn the click on, you will hear that all of a sudden it seems to slow down. It means that we speed up at the same time. All right? But I'm very excited for you that you are playing romantic music right now and you grew up. So I'm happy to see you again, and I wish you all the best. Happy practicing.
Thank you.
That was great. Thank you. Uh, I wanted to talk a little bit about the form of sonata or concerto. It's called the classical sonata form. Do you know anything about it?
I don't really know what you're really talking about.
Uh-huh. Okay, I will tell you a little bit more about it. So it's a specific musical form, like you're playing a concerto, which is the same as a sonata. The difference is that you play with the second piano, right? So it's a dialogue and a competition in a sense with the second instrument. But the form itself is the same as when we play a sonata. It means that we have one theme, which is usually at the beginning, and then another theme which follows the first one. And it's like a hero and a heroine, a gentleman and a lady. The gentleman usually is very energetic, he's a little bit more straightforward. The lady is a little bit more gentle, playful, very pretty probably. And then from those two themes, the whole composition is made. It follows, you know. So it's like a tiny opera because we can sing those themes. They're usually very pretty, like in your concerto. But the point is that we always try to make them a little bit different. Otherwise, it will be one hero. See what I mean? You can think about your concerto when you practice and find this first theme and then the second theme and compare them. And you can imagine what you would want to tell your people, your listeners, about those two people. It's number one. Number two, when you play those passages and the left accompanies like do 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 do, have in mind that it's harder for the right hand to be the soloist. The left is always a little bit powerful when we deal with a texture like this. So make your left hand sound a little bit softer so that the right hand, the melody, would be heard a little bit brighter. Does it make sense?
Yes.
So it's accompaniment. It's not the soloist, the left hand. The right hand is supposed to give the listeners the main melody. You know, we need to consider being gentle on our left hand very often when we play music like that. Okay?
Okay.
So I'm very pleased. Thank you very much. And I hope that I will listen to you in the future too. Thank you.
That was a wonderful performance by Olivia Zhang, and she was performing Mozart Piano Concerto number 8 in C major, and that was the first movement, Allegro Penta. And I would like to thank very much Alalari, our judge today, for this fabulous sonata form in a nutshell as told to an 8-year-old. Even I can understand. This was fantastic. Thank you, Olive, very, very much for that explanation. And now we'll be moving on to our next presenter. Erin Chen will be performing Rachmaninoff Piano Concerto number 2. Welcome on stage.
I see you guys grow and develop new skills. So, things like that happen a lot in life. That's true. Once I was at a concert, one very famous pianist played, and he actually forgot 2 pages on the stage. So, whatever. In these cases, you always need to know a few spots you could start from. Not just the beginning and somewhere close to the end. You need to learn those, let's say, 4 spots at least, so that you would always know them. Everything can happen in between, but not in those 4 spots, or as many as you want. Number one, it will give you a lot of sense of security when you perform. Number two, if you are not 100% confident, you could bring a book and just play from the text. I understand that you are very bold and very brave, talented young person, but actually you can be a little bit more pragmatic in cases like that, you know? And this composition is extremely challenging, and you have a long way before you, and it's a wonderful long way, because you will develop such skills and such knowledge about the music at all, dealing with Rachmaninoff. So probably I will not talk a long time about it. You know yourself what you need to do. One little exercise probably I could suggest. A triad with the right hand. The left works too, but as your beginning is about the chords, try to play this triad with the top note louder, then with the middle note louder, then with the bottom note louder. And the fingers should be perfectly synchronized. 3 notes together, but the top note sounds brighter, a lot brighter. This way, you will develop the skill of separating the parts of your hand so that you could emphasize on any sound of the chord you're dealing with. Like at the beginning, you need the top voice. And we heard the third grade of the key instead, which is important too. But you should be in control. It shouldn't just happen. And it's very easy to practice just using a simple triad without this widespread chord, you know? Okay? Good luck. I will be very excited to see you again, and all the best. Thank you.
Again, thank you very much, Erin and Frane, for performing this opening of the Rachmaninoff Concerto. And thank you, Alla, very much for always very helpful, very useful, very insightful, and very practical advices. This is what I love about Alla's comments. They can be used by students right away and make a noticeable change and improvement in the playing. We will be moving on to our last performer of today's concert. This is a um, concert which we always put together around this time in December as a 100 Music Studio. It's our annual concerto recital. We have 6 recitals here as part of our curriculum, and this is the longest one. Well, clearly because the concertos are the most grand form of music composition for piano. So our last performer of today will be Jason Pan, and he will be performing Schumann Piano Concerto in A minor, again accompanied by Frane Rusinovich, and that'll be first movement Allegro affettuoso. Welcome on stage.
It was a wonderful performance. I utterly enjoyed it. I would like to talk a little bit about romantic music with you. What do you feel about it? What is it? It's a large romantic concerto. What were you playing about? Did you think about it? Like a program, a movie? What was it about?
Conversation, I think.
Okay, I agree with that. Uh, have you thought about why this particular time period and this type of music is called romantic? What is romance? It's something about love, probably about humans' feelings. So my picture in my mind about this concerto is like a young man confesses to a wonderful lady that he loves her, and he speaks about his life, about how he feels, and this and that. Now, how does it all start? It starts da-dee-da-da. What was before? I had a feeling that he jumps out, shoots all the competitors, and then he starts his confession. Da-doom, da-doom, da-doom. It shouldn't be that scary. And then again, you play this wonderful romantic music, and again, this reminiscence. Da-doom, da-doom, da-doom. Pa-pam, pa-pam. It's a little bit maybe larger. It's not as stressed. And it's a little bit more open, and I wouldn't say it's not caring about how you are perceived, but you have to have this wonderful sense of freedom while opening this. And then you start your speech with all the details. See? And always we care about the story first and about the technical aspects of what we do second. It's like the means of expression, but the expression itself, the meaning of our music is number one. Okay? So think about it, and it was quite impressive. Wonderful technique, a lot of heart, a lot of interesting imagery. Thank you very much, and I wish you all the best.
This concludes our recital, which was today dedicated to the largest form of a musical composition for piano, piano concertos, which are meant to be performed with the orchestra. And today we had Frane Rusinovic and myself a little bit playing the role of the orchestra. But now we want to thank everyone who was watching, who was part of this event. Thank you very much to all the parents, all the supporters, all the grandparents for being part of our audience. We could feel your support and your warm feelings coming to us through all those screens and distances. Thank you very much, our virtual concert halls team and all the people behind the technical side of this event, and that is from our wonderful group of musicians who learned how to produce internet TV broadcasts. And today our director was Ante Kudric, who is a pianist and a composer, and he is in Croatia currently. And technical support was provided by Fedor Spensky, Fran Rusinovic, and Igor Zubkovsky. And many, many thanks now go to wonderful team of our living orchestra, Frane Rusinovic, and our wonderful judge of today, Ala Lowry. And I hope we can bring them on screen for a bow. Thank you, great musicians, dear friends and colleagues, for your support of our studio, for your continued and never-ending love which you extend to our students and to myself. And with this, we conclude our program today. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you come again and watch more of our performances. The upcoming very exciting event in 2 weeks will be broadcasting Sound of Specific Global Competition semifinals. We have very interesting programs already prepared for all of you to watch. Please join us and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to visit our websites to learn more about our community of musicians, music educators, students, parents, support groups, and music managers, everyone who helps live music stay alive. And with that, good night or good morning, whatever time of day you have today. See you later. Bye.